Okay, here we go. Another FTMO challenge starting. So let's go on to my login page and just to see that the actual challenge has been set up. I've not actually placed any trades yet and just looking to see what the market's offering and try and get in some trades, whether it's on a live session today or whether it's over the next couple of days. One of my top tips for passing FTMO challenge is always start on a day where things are moving and looking pretty good. And although there's been a bit of reversal on the FTSE, I seem to have missed that one. So here we are in the actual area itself. And as an example, looking at FTSE, there's been a bit of a reversal. Let's move this camera to the bottom. That's better. Been a bit of a reversal on the FTSE, but I've managed to miss that one. So very quickly scan through some of the other markets to see what possible trades we've got coming up today. So taking a quick look at the euro dollar, we can see that price has been very bullish over the past couple of weeks. It's a daily chart. Now it is tracking up nicely. There's potential a lot more of this to come as a buy. And again, looking on the lower time frames going down to an hour, we're seeing a bit of a sell-off in the past hour, but again, the overall trend direction, this one's up, so I'm not looking to get on this one right now. Again, 15-minute, we've seen a bit of a sell-off, a bit of a sideways pattern, predominantly coming off a day off for the UK and the US yesterday. We're seeing a lot of strange things happening, especially just sort of setting things up as they're coming through the sessions, coming through the UK session to the US session. I think the key one that I've been looking at mainly over the past few weeks has always been around gold. So I'm going to take a closer look at gold. There's a daily chart on gold. We can see the price is coming well above the 1900. A bit of a rejection of that price, sort of 1910 level. Looking at a much closer time frame, we can see that the RSI on the daily is massively overbought and could possibly see the price come back down. But again, on this sort of 15-minute chart, is that sort of indecision area. It's below moving averages. All the time frames aren't lining up, so I'd be a little bit hesitant going short on gold now. I'd be waiting for the price to come back above probably 1907, 1910 before looking for a buy and price coming up. So as always, trading is that waiting game. It's just, close that screen. It's just a waiting game, literally waiting for price to do what it's supposed to do. And as always, set up a live stream is always a great idea, but we can never see what price is going to do at any particular time. Just curious to see if any news articles are coming out this afternoon. Have a quick look for those. Refresh that screen. So news this afternoon. Nothing coming out from now. We've had a bit of 3 o'clock. But again, nothing for this afternoon. It's going to look like this price is going to be moving. Let's look at one of the other favourites, one cable, British pound. Higher time frame here is always quite good to look at. That's a very, very nice uptrend. And again, we're hitting these recent highs. Let's just draw in a line here. Of that high here, it's sort of 142, a bit higher, 142.40. Let's go down a time frame. We can see here we've been hitting once or twice and been rejected. A breakout of here could see another big push up. Again, when you start looking back at the huge time frames, let's go monthly. A break of that with significant double bottom here. And that when we could then see price push all the way back up to 150, 152. But again, that could take many, many months for that to happen. I'm not expecting at all for price to break through that currently. We're still seeing an area here where we've even going back to, what's that, 2001. It's very hard for it to break up to that level. So where we are now on pound is potentially where it's going to get stuck for a few days or weeks. So just going into the lower time frame, we're very much at a sideways motion here, so I'm not looking for any trades currently. It would be nice to get into something. If price does rally over the next few days back up to 142.40, then potentially there's a good short there coming up for rejection of those prices with a very, very tight stop. As we've seen previously, when price does fall off from these values, it does happen very, very quickly, and we could be in for a nice little trade. So one pair I have been keeping an eye on is CAD. It's down massively at some of the low levels here. So on a 4-hour chart, we're getting a bit of support coming in at this level around about the 1.2 level on CAD. So historically, if we go way out on a weekly chart, we can almost go back to 2017 and 2015 where that was a level of support. We could now see a bounce off that level, but looking at the indicators, though we don't often trade on these indicators, we can see that we are into a significant oversold region. RSI down at 23. Now at that level 23, we've not seen that at any point on a weekly chart going back a long period of time for many, many years. So we can see a significant weakness in the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. So am I looking to buy that? Not right now. I'd probably want to see, again, going back to the 15-minute chart here, I'd want to see price come back above 1.2060 and start to form a new sort of mini uptrend before getting into a buy. There would still be significant selling pressure on this one, but again, there could be that sort of 100, 200 point move on the CAD where it gets a bit more stable. Bitcoin's fascinating at the moment, and I'm almost tempted to do a trade on this one, although trading this against the FTMO is not ideal purely because of the spreads. Let's take a quick look at the spreads on this. We're talking $100, 100 point spread on Bitcoin, which is huge. We'd have to have a significant amount of movement, but as we are seeing price ranging potentially 1,000 to 2,000 points in a day, especially with the sell-off of China happening in the past week, there's a bit of a rally coming on board. We're obviously now in the third consecutive green day. We've not seen that for a while. So yeah, in this consolidation range, if we zoom in for a little bit, we are now starting to see that almost a double bottom forming. So if price breaks above $40,000 pretty much, we can then start seeing a return up to the 50,000. So yeah, there is that $10,000 movement. So yeah, I could almost buy one Bitcoin here, hold on to it. But with the daily drawdowns, there is that significant risk of hitting that FTMO drawdown of pretty much the 5% drawdown. So yeah, someone's asking a question of how to identify proper structure for buy and sell zones. Now for me, it's really looking for a trend continuation rather than a particular zone. If I look for, let's go FTSE 100. We can see here on the 15-minute chart, obviously market's closed, we've got a massive amount of sideways movement here. Now, where would I look for any buy or sells? Hard to tell. Even zooming out a level, there's nothing. It's pretty much going always sideways. Let's look at something else. Let's go back to British pound because it has been moving upwards. Anything here? So for me, I'm looking for multiple time frame confirmations. So on a 1 hour chart, we are in a kind of sideways motion, range bound, but there are potentially more buying signals. So anything are breaking above the moving averages and coming back down to a consolidation area. Looking back onto the 15-minute chart where we get some big surges up, pull back into a zone close to 20 moving average. We can see often we're getting some bounces coming back down before returning back up. So it does appear that the market's in a real, I won't say indecision point, but there just doesn't seem to be a massive amount going on right now. It's bizarre. I think the long weekend break, UK, US, has just really made it a bit static. It's just not looking nice at the moment. Anything on euro dollar that could have been a potential setup? Again, I'm sure everyone has a different opinion of what these charts show, but for me, knowing that the overall direction has been in an uptrend, there's nothing here that's showing a nice move. We could argue here that we've had a breakout. There's been a bit of previously a little resistance at 122. It's touched multiple times. Anytime we've got more than 3 touches, we've got a strong level of resistance. It's broken, it hasn't closed above it, and then obviously rallied up. But again, these are on days where there's very, very little volume. I'm just not seeing anything to want to place a trade to start this challenge off. And I don't want to waste the day. With anything with these challenges, trying to get that objective of 10%, you break it down to the number of trading days. We've got 22 trading days, so only need to make 0.5% per day. Now on this size account, £70,000, that's £350 per day. That's kind of always my objective, to make that sort of level. But I don't want to go into a trade and, 1, not make that level, but 2, waste that day. I've only got 30 trading days from the start. And again, if anyone's not familiar with the actual setup of the client metrics themselves, we have this start date here, and that only starts when I place my first trade, and then obviously it calculates 30 days from the end date. And yeah, to waste a trading day, especially when we come back from this bank holiday weekend in the US and the UK with significantly low volumes and some indecision, yeah, it's just a bit of a waste. So someone's just mentioning there the 15-minute structured support on euro dollar, solid continuation today trade. So euro dollar. Yep, I agree. I think looking breakout above 122, we've had some sideways movement, starting to range bound, obviously breaking back up through those moving averages. We can start seeing that as a continuation of the trade. Where do I see that going? Potentially, if we're looking for a good return on ours, we've got some previous levels kicking in at, or the previous highs kicking in at this level here. Scroll up a bit. 122.60. It's only 20-30 pip movement from where we are now. Is that enough for me to want to get into a trade? Yes, if I can find a stop level that is going to give me at least a 1-to-1, preferably 2 or 3-to-1 return. And if I'm looking at where I'm going to put my stop's going to have to go below 122, because that's where it broke out through, and that's not going to give me a significant return on that particular trade. I'm going to struggle if I'm looking at a break of this level here, where it's consolidated on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars over the past 2-3 days. I'm struggling to get a 1-to-1 on a much more accurate entry. And that's the key thing to any of these things. It really is making sure that we can get into a trade, get a good reward to our risk. If we're risking 0.5%, 1%, we need to be getting that 1% back, because if we don't, that 10% soon gets further and further away. We could win 20-30 trades in a row if we're only getting a fraction of a percent back, but we're risking 1%. We only need to get that one loss, and it wipes out all those big returns. So yeah, it's really trying to get onto a big runner. Now, if price does pull back later on today and consolidates again around this 122.36, 37 level, then yes, potentially I can get into a buy with a much tighter stop. And then for that will be a continuation to try and get that 20-30 pips with probably a 5 or 10 pip stop loss. Therefore, it gives me that 2-to-1 reward to risk. Just scroll back to gold very quickly. If we look at here, any sort of structural patterns here, there's nothing significant. We can see that over the past few days, it has been rising up nicely. It's pulled back off into this sort of zone between the 50 and 200, bounced back up where we've seen the buyers come in. We've got a high, nice higher high, therefore we're continuing on a nice uptrend. It's now broken through that range. Let's see if I can just draw that in. It's broken through this level, 1910, which was the previous high going back to the end of last month, Therefore, it's now broken that one. We could now see this as sort of a structure breaking down through that one of coming all the way back down, possibly down to 1880, 1890, that range. Who knows? It's one of those things that's really struggling with gold because there's that longer term trend is massive in an uptrend. Going back to, for example, 4 hour, yes, we are seeing that pullback, pulling back into this range between the 20 and the 50. And if we go way, way back, almost back into, it's come back weeks now since it's broken through those levels, it's continuing all the way up. So for me, gold, still bullish, still looking for an uptrend. I'm waiting for, on here, possibly a green candle to come after this red one, and therefore when it breaks through the high of that small green candle, then we can take a long and target 1915. Yeah, I agree with the volume dropping off coming up to the 4 p.m. UK time. There could be a significantly less volume trading on the euro. So as always, it's finding the times of day to trade these things, and yeah, you want to have the most volume. But as always, when you've got conflicting time zones between Europe, US, one market could be bullish, one could be bearish, and therefore you've got that tug of war. As soon as one closes, we could see that the potentially bearish US take over, and therefore price drops down significantly. Oil showing some nice price action. I've not got that symbol here. Few symbols. Let's see if I can find oil. Not showing it on my MetaTrader 5 oil, so I'll cancel that one for now. But yeah, definitely oil has been in a significant uptrend for a long period of time, and as we know, obviously, price of oil, petrol at the pump is getting significantly higher. I know in the US it's getting up to that $4 mark or higher. UK is now 129, 130 per litre, which again is a significant amount to pay for petrol. Most of it's being intact, which is a real shame. But yeah, it's just that, yeah, oil's going to continue going up, I think, as more of the economy comes back online, air travel becomes more frequent, and we start using the cars and driving more after the big lockdowns and closures over the past year. I'm struggling to find anything. It was always my aim to try and find a trade to get into in this sort of 20-30 minute live session. What I'm going to probably do over the next week or two is trade every single day, start the live session early in the morning to have the screens running, and therefore be able to dart in and out, and obviously then start to really see how the market develops, because a lot of these things take potentially an hour or 2 hours to set up of waiting for multiple 15-minute candles to confirm price or a rejection of price or continuation of price. We could be waiting for a long period of time, and it's always great to, as I scan through the market, just see what's going on and looking what trades and directions. But it does get a bit boring just listening to my monotone voice talking through and saying, yeah, it's an uptrend, downtrend. It's all over the place. So yeah, it's always nice to have a trade running and be able to manage that and see profit or loss, moving stop losses, and actually making sure that we are hitting some objectives and some targets. Again, when I set up a live trading session tomorrow, I will have some spreadsheets in the background to actually show how I'm recording my risk management as well. That's always quite keen to see that side of it. Has euro come back? Nope, still going up. So what I really want to see with euro here is if we can get price to start to come back to this level here. If we can get some nice red seller candles, we get a confirmation support, a bounce off this 122.40, and then we can see price bounce all the way back up into this region here. At the moment, to buy is just getting overextended. Again, refer back to indicators. I like the RSI because this is quite sort of showing a good level of overbought, oversold, and we are now getting up to that 70 level. It's not a reason for not to buy, it's more a reason of trend is continuing in an uptrend, whereas if the RSI also was to pull back into this level here, into sort of 50 point we can see that anything above the 50 is a good level for buying. If I just add on the 50 level, too many things, make that a solid line, a bit thicker, and make it black. This is where we can see anything where the price is above the 50, and that sort of between 50 and 70 region is definite buys. And we can see that although we've dropped below a couple of times, that's often in time zones where it's not perfect and volume is slightly less, and therefore it can react quite quickly. But where we've seen price significantly above that level, that's where we're looking for buys, and we can see the price continue to move on upwards. One last look before I stop for today is, let's look at the FTSE as an example. We've had a massive rally today, often with the first opening session from a 3-day weekend in the UK being quite bullish, and we've seen a huge surge from 7,000 to 7,100, so a 100-point movement on the FTSE. Now, expected we were going to get some sell-off. We got a low. We didn't break through that recent high. It broke down, and therefore we've got this sort of double top forming on a 15-minute chart. So for me, this one is looking more like a short potential. So if price does come back up a little bit more, if it comes back into the 70-79 region, that for me would be a selling opportunity. And then we've got, yeah, any price breaking back down below 70-70 on this level would be a short, and a nice tight stop loss just above where it sort of broke down through. So again, this one's for me just waiting. Potentially it could be a short coming up later on today, and we've obviously see price, especially with the US session coming on board for the last hour, this is where price has started to fall off, and we can see that the momentum is falling below our 50 level, so we can see that there's definite more sellers in control. Now, as always, it's waiting. It's literally just waiting for that confirmation set up here, and therefore my target price wise would be somewhere in this region, back down at the 7,000 level, purely because as a reversal, price will fall very, very quickly, and a 100-point drop on FTSE or any indices is not significant. It's not a massive drop. It's only sort of a fraction of a percent. And again, when you look at the, let's go 4-hour chart, anything back down this 7,000 level is where it's find that sort of close range over the past 2-3 weeks, and it's been hovering around that quite significantly, just bouncing up and down. So for me, that's a definite short, and I'll pull back into where price is more comfortable at the moment. So yeah, hopefully that's been a very quick stream session. I apologize for not having any live trades coming up. It's always a bit of a pain not having that when you go live. As I said before, this is the start of a new challenge. It really is getting with this FTMO, adding this additional 100,000 to my other accounts, and making sure over the next 20 trading days I managed to hit the objective of hitting a 10% profit target, so £7,000, and no more max daily loss, managing the risk. So yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for joining this stream, and I will set up another one for tomorrow and hopefully have some really good trades, and there'll be a bit more volume in the market and can move forward and manage some of these buy and sell trades. So yeah, if anyone's got any comments, like the video, comment down below, and I will respond to everyone as I get a chance. Cheers guys.